Welcome to Offsite Dirt, the podcast committed to uncovering all the insights of the offsite construction industry. Join us as we delve into the realm of offsite construction solutions, modern building methods, high-performance construction, lean manufacturing, and beyond. Your experiences fuel our passion for the industry, fostering collaboration and driving business growth worldwide. So let's get down to the dirt. Here's our host, Audrey Grabesic.
Hello and welcome to Offsite Dirt. We are here with Wesco and Leviton and the amazing relationship of how they've built electrical systems, electrical circuits, panels. We're going to talk about EV chargers. We're going to talk about the Decora Edge, which is a wall box receptacle. There's so many exciting things, but of course, we always want to mention that it is always advisable that we talk to our electrician before doing any of these types of, projects at home or new builds. It's always important to make sure that we talk with a licensed electrician and make sure that we know that we're setting up the system correctly. But on a side note, we'll welcome our wonderful Kent Anderson. Kent, how are you today? And tell us about your role at Wesco. And again, why are we here today?
Hey, Audrey, it's great to be with you. Nice to see you again. I'm Kent Anderson. I'm a business development manager for Wesco's Manufactured Structures division. We have been servicing the OEM builders in their factories for about 50 years as a group of Wesco. And over that time, we built some really strong relationships with some really great partner vendors. And one of those is our relationship with Leviton. We're super excited to have them on the program again, and just really looking forward to continuing conversations with them from our last time. We were talking about the Leviton Load Center, and now we're going to talk about a lot of Leviton devices. You mentioned the Decora Edge product, and super excited. We've got joining us today again our Rick and Rick combination. So Rick Forbush and Rick Govinda. Hey guys, how are you?
Doing well, Kent. Good seeing you, sir, as well as you, Audrey.
Yes, you too. Thank you guys for both being here. So let's jump in. What is the Decora Edge?
Okay, so yes, I'll take that one. When we Rick and Rick, it gets a little confusing sometimes, but yeah. So thanks, Audrey. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate the time here today. So Decora Edge, at Leviton, we talk about end-to-end type solutions, and we talk about constantly wanting to be able to gain efficiencies during construction, which of course, would certainly, be appropriate in terms of a manufacturing environment. So I was looking to gain speed, gain efficiency, in some cases gain simplicity, some cases gain reliability in the product, those sort of things. So we developed a product line called Decora Edge. So when we say the word Decora, we're talking about the form factor here, which is this sort of rectangular form factor there, which is also becoming a more popular aesthetic out in the market today. So that's where the term Decora comes in. That's this rectangular form factor here. The edge part is where things get better. So this device is, typical in a home, would be a single pole switch, would be a three-way switch, or would be a 15 amp duplex receptacle, right? Or what you might call a traditional tamper-resistant outlet in a typical home. So that's the product line in terms of devices that we have today. But what we're going for with this guy and what we're after is just speed and ease of wiring. So if I turn this device around sort of backwards, or both of these devices around backwards, you can see on the back of the device, there's these little levers that actually open up the wiring port on the back of the device. And you can see that these little levers here are color coded. So when we're dealing with wiring, we're dealing with a hot conductor, which would be a black conductor, a neutral conductor, which would be a white, a grounding conductor, which would be a green. And you see these levers are color coded. So number one, you don't have to kind of look and try to determine the shade of a tightening screw, of a connection screw on a device, like in a typical wiring application. It's very clear as to which wire goes into which opening. Now, the way the wiring works is I've got, I'm just gonna insert a conductor here. So black, say hot conductor into the back of the device right there. Then I'm just gonna flip that lever closed. And now that device is now wired. That conductor is in. Made a mistake. I can go ahead and flip that lever back open and I can remove that wiring as well. So we're going for extreme speed here when it comes to this. I'm popping them in and I'm clipping them shut, popping them in and clipping them shut repetitively. Now, some of the beauty of that is obviously the speed that's going to be gained, less mistakes, if you will, potentially. But also, you notice there's no metal on the outside of this particular device here or any of these devices. So we don't have exposed metal screws. We don't have exposed metal copper. We can eliminate the practice that still goes on in some respects today, which is the taping, right? Taping around the receptacles to insulate metal on metal or metal on the device next to it, whatever the case may be there. Now, these devices also accommodate two different sizes of Decora wall plates, right? This is a 2-gang Decora wall plate here, but the device is made to accommodate what you would call a midway size, or sometimes the market refers to them as oversized wall plates, jumbo-sized wall plates, sort of a lot of terms for it. But the idea being that if you, with one device, if you get a little bit of a sheetrock cut, that's a little bit too big or whatnot, you can put on an oversized plate very easily. It's made to accept that standard out of the box. If you want to use a traditional size wall plate, there's a score line here on the device tab that you would break, you'd break that off and put a traditional size wall plate in. So you're going to gain everything that I just talked about in terms of efficiencies, in terms of safety, by using this device. While at the same time, it's going to match the rest of the form factor of other wiring devices within the home that would roll over into Decora dimmers and things like that. The traditionally wired devices are going to blend in aesthetically with the Decora Smart, just on the real, on the Decora Edge with a real common form factor there. So gain speed, gain efficiency, gain safety, fewer mistakes, and an aesthetic that's going to roll into everything else in the home at the same time.
And then that is fantastic, Rick. I love the way that works. You took the old push-in concept and really stepped it into a new level completely. So, and I know we're doing that with a lot of the other devices as well. So really cool on the Decora Edge. But let's talk a little bit about where USB receptacles are going and how we're dealing with smart Wi-Fi as well, because obviously we're all plugging in everything we're carrying in the home today. So,
well, from a USB perspective, right? There are so many things that are being plugged in with a patch cord, whether it's a USB-A or a USB-C on the end of it. Fortunately for Leviton, a very large portfolio of products there. Whether it's a straight AA, straight CC, an A and a C accommodation, a quad, you name it. But some of the unique things we've come out with is USBs with what we call power delivery, right? So basically it's 60 watts capable. So now with a traditional laptop, historically in the past, you had a cord with a 3-prong adapter you plug into an outlet. You can pretty much get rid of that and just go with a USB-C to a USB-C into one of our outlets. And you may have 2 items plugged in, maybe an iPad, maybe an iPhone, maybe a laptop and an iPhone. We have the smarts that built into it that based upon the load that it currently is at when I'm plugging into it, it'll throttle how much power goes to each outlet. So as I get up to 80%, as an example, on one item that's plugged in, it'll start throttling back and putting more power to the other outlet to speed that aspect of it. So some of the smarts on that end of it, because more and more things that I mentioned earlier are coming out being powered with a USB. So you're seeing more application, whether it's in a kitchen with a combination USB and a GFI, or even in a bathroom. These people want to plug in their phone while they're taking a shower and listening to their phones. Bedsides, you'll have in their kids' room. I mean, they're very much installed in many rooms within the home today from that aspect of it.
But you're telling us the Leviton devices went to school and got
Big
smart.
Big time.
Holy cow.
Yeah, we might hire you for marketing. I actually like that one. That was very good. But now
that one
segue.
is great. That one is great. And I do
That was
love the resources, right? Our lifestyles have so changed. And I love that you can have the USB application in the kitchen. I like that you can have it in the GFI. Those are needed things. And we're seeing more homes and we're seeing more buildings apply these type of products in
Yep.
there, correct?
Yep. And at the same time, you know, the living space is not just within the home, it's being extended out to the outside with decks and everything else, having the appropriate type of devices that are weather resistant as well. We have those. Then you talk about devices, we have our Decora Smart Wi-Fi type of products, which Rick, I'll leave you go into those.
Sure. Yeah. We talk about smart, right? That's the word. We're finding, of course, the market is hungry for smart, but also, hungry for some simplification in that arena, if you will, right? So when we talk about, we're using the word Decora, like I said, that's that rectangular aesthetic. But when we talk about Decora, we move from Decora Edge over to Decora Smart, we move into another product line of devices. When we talk about smart, we're talking about devices that, roll into the My Leviton app, the same app that houses the Leviton smart breakers, houses the Leviton EV chargers, all rolled into that one app. But what we're going to do with that is we talk about scalability some, right? We talk about things that people want. When it comes to production building or on a production floor, the wiring is occurring, but the wiring that's being installed is already capable of accepting Decora Smart devices. So Decora Smart devices, and when I say devices, I'm talking about things like a receptacle that you can program with your phone, a wall switch, you can program timing, you can set scenes, you can group, you can use voice control, which folks love to do these days. Dimmers as well for different light levels at appropriate times of the day, motion sensing dimmers, energy efficiency gains with things like that. So a whole product line full of devices that will replace any traditionally wired device inside a wall box, but will also operate on the Wi-Fi within the home. So folks are used to products that they can enroll into their Wi-Fi network, right? They're used to buying things that will eventually, as they set it up, ask them which network it wants to be on and what the Wi-Fi password is and those sorts of things. Our devices are no different. So install one device, install up to 99 devices in the home, and then take control of your home in your lighting, your electrical loads, really in a bunch of different ways. Control them with whatever your preference is. If it's Siri voice, if it's Alexa voice control, if it's Hey Google voice control, any of those sort of things all play seamlessly with all of our products. In other words, you don't have to choose which voice platform you want to use. Our devices will use all of them. So we're going right into that mainstream with simple wiring, simple upgrades, simple setup from a Wi-Fi standpoint, no external hub or extra box or radio signals. None of that is needed. Just enroll this stuff in your Wi-Fi as you would your traditional mainstream items, and really just take control from there. It's really, we'd be on here for an hour and a half if I described what these devices can do, but suffice it to say, pretty well anything you can imagine in terms of controlling your loads, your lighting, and gaining some efficiencies in terms of consumption are right at everybody's fingertips.
And the other thing that's pretty cool is that, the production builders, right, they can install a couple of devices and market their home as being smart ready, as an example, throw in a smart thermostat, those type of things. Homeowner gets them, and then all that does is gives them exposure for a really minimal price as far as added to the home. And then from there, they can expand on it. It's pretty cool once you get the stuff in your hands. Simplistic to enroll, set schedules, set scenes, as Rick had mentioned. Because of the folks like Amazon, Google, and Apple, a few years ago, coming out with platforms that force manufacturers like us to make it more simplistic for the consumer. We've kind of followed their footsteps and just continue involving the line and partnering up with those folks as well.
I love it. And I remember like 6 years ago where you would have to have like somebody come out with this big box and they would have to program all of it. And then they would have to get their lighting done and they would have to do, their Wi-Fi in there. And now to know the ease and the comfort and the fast and the install of what you have created with a product that can just basically work itself. I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. So love that we're in the home, love that we're talking about these products, but let's kind of move over to the EV chargers. What can you tell us about the industry and how it's changing and how Leviton has created that product?
So car chargers today are like when the LED light bulb came out, right, a few years ago. Just total excitement, people clamoring to buy them, install them, and everything else. Obviously, the federal government's been helping out, putting a lot of funding out there, right, to entice people to go to EV. There are certain states around the country today that are saying no more no more combustion vehicle sold. As an example, state of California by 2035. New York is saying the same things. Trying to be nicer to Mother Earth at the end of the day, right? So all that money predominantly is from an infrastructure perspective, more for commercial, more for what they call DC fast charge type of chargers. There's really three types of chargers. If DC fast charge that we see in the public today, like Tesla, think of those folks. I pull up, I can get 80% fill in 20 minutes as an example. Cost of those, $65,000, $70,000 per charger as an example. But you also need the power, the infrastructure. That requires a 3-phase 100-amp breaker for each individual charger. There's a lot there the utility's got to get involved with. Now you get into what they call level 2, non-network and network, and then level 1. Level 2 is really the sweet spot that Leviton's in today from that aspect of it. Because if you look at it from a unit perspective, right, between commercial and residential, 75% of the units on EV chargers are going to be residential, right? Because everybody buys an electric vehicle, they want to be able to pull up to their home and charge. Compared to today, if I have a combustion engine, it's not like I'm going to have a gas tank in my ground with a gas pump next to my house. EPA issues, township issues, and everything else are going to prevent that from happening. So level 2 chargers, network and non-network, we have those. We have a variety. It's anywhere from a 32 amp, a 48 amp, or an 80 amp. Why do you need an 80 amp? Well, look at a Ford Lightning F-150 that requires a double pole 80 amp breaker to power that thing up when I pull up to the house, those type of things. Residentially, those three we have. From a commercial perspective, we have a partnership with a company called Amp Up. So what that allows us to do is from a commercial application, MDU, apartments, and those type of things, I'll be able to have a charger sitting outside. I can then pull up with a credit card with my EV charger, swipe it, and away I start charging from that end of it. Level 1, that's kind of the charger that comes with the vehicle from the manufacturer. They're usually inexpensive. They're in the trunk of a car. They plug into a standard outlet, and it could take up to 8 or 12 hours to charge. Whereas a level 2, depending on how much charge the battery currently has when I plug into it, could take 4 to 6 hours, that type of thing. Double pole breakers, as I mentioned, 32 amp, 48 amp, and an 80 amp version from those type of things.
Yeah, the product line is so varied with Leviton, and with the capabilities and a lot of the stuff that we've talked about today, Audrey and Rick, is really important that builders understand what all is available that's out there, because homeowners are really demanding that. And it's really great to have these solutions available, everything that covers from the single family into the multifamily. It gives that multifamily builder the peace of mind to know that if I've got Leviton devices and Leviton circuit protection in my units, and I can offer Leviton EV charging to my tenants, then I'm able to just provide one platform, easy for them to do. We're so appreciative of our partnership with Leviton, so appreciative of Rick Forbush and Rick Govenda for joining us today. They got the set. We said it's live at 5 with Rick and Rick. So we're just really grateful to you guys for joining us, and it's been awesome to be with you today.
Well, Kent, thank you very much. And one last thing on that, since you mentioned MDUs, right? There are a lot of platforms that are out there today, third-party platforms for the MDU folks, for the developers. And it's more about the tenant experience, right? So now, as an example, you can partner up with some of these third-party software companies where I walk up as a tenant because of the geo-fencing that's on my phone. It knows I'm a resident here, right? It's going to unlock that door. It's going to track that as I walk into the building. I hop on the elevator, go up to the third floor, go to unit 305. The smart lock that's there knows that it's me. It's going to track that. So now I can walk around the complex going from my apartment down to the gym that's locked that knows me. It's going to allow me to automatically go in to the community space, out into the pool area and those type of things. But at the same time, it's got back of house type of software packages. I can then coordinate, as an example, I may have an issue with my dishwasher. Well, I already have a partnership off my app with a technician that I can just create an appointment for a week from today for that technician to come and work on my unit. I can physically, I'll be the technician because I put on a security pass on their phone. I walk up to the door. Oh, that's the technician that's scheduled to come in at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon. It's going to lock it. It's going to allow me to go up. It's going to automatically lock the door into my apartment, do my work. I've scheduled 90 minutes. If past 90 minutes, it's going to lock me in or put some type of notification that you need to be out of there. So a lot of cool smarts that are out there. Just wanted to squeeze that in just to let you know, as well as on the car chargers, part of my Leviton app as well.
It's wonderful. And thank you for explaining all of that and going into those stories, for letting people to visually understand how technology has become so intelligent. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Kent. And thank you, Rick, for all being here.
Super. Thank you, Audrey. Thank you, Kent.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Audrey.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
day and come back and listen to more on Offsite Dirt.